Why Rick Neal?
It's awesome.
At first glance, he's not like the most obvious person.
Yeah.
We needed a leader to kind of replace Gordon's energy. Rick Neal has a carefree spirit that makes you excited about whatever you're working on.
I used to tell people, don't screw it up. Don't crush the heart of a 12-year-old boy. Let's make the right game. People still say, oh, you and the 12-year-old boy heart. But that's what we're doing. The joy and the fun of the first time you played Madden with your friend, we have to pay homage to that. That's a magic thing that there's no words for. I've partnered with Nathan and Rachel to put together the best team I've ever worked with. Been working on this crazy idea to take on game development business from a whole new angle. Look, we all know things need to change. Can't keep doing the same old thing and expect new results, especially now with all the new tech and AI coming online these days. AI isn't something we can talk about in some kind of future tense anymore. It's here now. If you're not on this train, you're gonna get left behind in a big hurry. When I heard Nathan and Rachel's idea, and then took in all of their original content, I immediately knew what I had to do. This new business was gonna take a crack squad of seasoned pros, guys I've worked with over the years, on some of the biggest titles in the space. Hi, I'm Rick Neal, and I started working at Electronic Arts in 1992, and math is hard, so I don't know how many years that was.
I'm Nathan Stallman. I'm the CEO of Noctua Interactive. I'm a serial entrepreneur. This is my fourth personal startup. I got my start in safety, compliance, and training, some simulation, and was focused on safety and workplace safety and getting people home to their families.
My name's Adam Bellin. Been making video games for about 40 years. Got my start in the business with Atari. Activision found me about a year later, moved me to California, where I got to work with the founders of Activision, who were some of the pioneers in the industry.
I got to work on amazing titles with amazing teams, such as Madden and the Grand Tour game. I got to work on Silent Hill at Konami, just some amazing fun titles that I really enjoyed playing, as well as figuring out how to make them.
Hi, I'm Rachel Stallman, and I am the art director for Noctua Interactive. And I've been doing design and graphic work for over 25 years.
I'm David Kozlowski. I'm a Midwestern kid. I joined the Army out of high school looking for adventure. So my first projects were building websites for Jane's Combat Sims, for the Wing Commander games, for Crusader, and all the products they had at Origin Systems. And that later led me to being the director of web development for Electronic Arts.
When I started, one person could make a game. One clever person would do the coding, would do the art. We even had to make our own tools to draw our own art because there were no tools.
We didn't have the internet and ways to connect, and technology was very nascent when we first started making games in the 80s and 90s. They were very much single-player games. You had to have an expensive piece of hardware to play a video game.
It was a lot easier to work. It was a lot easier to build games. They were generally small teams, 20, 30 people. You were working on projects that most people had real passion for. The video game industry hadn't moved into kind of its corporate phase yet. So we had a lot of freedom. We had a lot of autonomy and the ability to invest in these games, our personalities and what we liked and what was exciting to us.
Teams were small, 12 to 20 people. The technology got more sophisticated. We needed more people on teams to make the game, so teams started getting bigger and bigger to the point where at Amazon, some of the teams I was on were 300 people. The Call of Duty, for instance, is probably 4,000 people. You're not innovating on a game as much as you're making a product. So a lot of the innovation and nimbleness goes away because you're too big. It's just a human organization. That's how humans work.
All of a sudden, we had games that had bigger teams, bigger brands, bigger audiences, a lot more at stake. And every year you had to keep delivering on that and making it better and better and bigger and bigger.
And this was kind of the mantra that we would find at the larger companies where many of the game decisions were being made by data. What do the metrics look like? When do we decide we're going to put that feature in? Well, we don't guess anymore. We don't use our gut anymore. We go by the data and the numbers and the metrics.
You're always trying to meet the success of the previous title. You're always trying to improve, make it bigger and better. And so now you have huge teams, huge processes, and not a lot of room to be super creative.
The origin story for Noctua, I had just exited my last company. I was trying to decide, do I want to create novels out of these stories that I've been putting together for the last 20 years, or do I want to find a new home in a new industry and explore a new space? And I've always been a gamer, and I was talking to Rachel and I said, I think I want to take these stories and instead of making books, I want to make games out of them.
As he started explaining his ideas, I just got more and more excited about it. I mean, the worlds that he's created are amazing, and they have to be video games. They just do. And it's exciting to me to help bring those worlds to life.
Rachel and I went out and looked for people who were very experienced and senior in the space so that we didn't have to hit those rough edges first.
After I was sold on the idea, Nathan started going out into the community and meeting people.
Rick was giving me pointers on what kind of pre-work I had to do to get a team spun up and what a game team would look like. And then in October, I said to Rick, I said, I really like this space. I'm gonna do this anyway. Would you like to come along for the ride? We're gonna have a lot of fun.
And then one day he came back and he was like, I really want you to meet Rick, and I think Rick might be interested. And so I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. Let's go meet Rick.
Making Nathan's stories into games was paramount. That was the bottom of our pyramid. We wanted to bring his IPs to life. But with the acceleration and how we can make games so much faster, we can now vet all our ideas, find out what are the best ones, and make products for those customers that are going to be successful day one much quicker and faster than we've ever done before. So it's the rapid acceleration of tools is literally serving how fast we can make story-driven games.
The thing that inspired me about Noctua was when I reconnected with Rick and found out that he joined a new startup. I was also thinking about, wow, what do I want to do next? I really want to work with people that I worked with before, people I trust, people that I know are super talented, and using modern tools, modern programming methods to make AAA titles with less people, for less money and less time. It really just struck a chord.
Rick reached out to me with what he called a crazy idea, but the idea was to simplify. Let's go back to the roots of small development, small teams, original IP, one or two technologies. Let's leverage what's coming as opposed to borrowing from what we've done before in terms of, all of the tools and all the tech that turn these into 300-man teams.
When you build big games and big franchises like Madden and Call of Duty, now you have an expectation you need to deliver every year. That's a business model. You can't let your customers down.
So the expectation all of a sudden is huge. You're just trying to make a sort of a new and improved version of what you did before. And it was still more about 80% construction, 20% creative, right? And we've always been trying to flip that over time to make it more about creation versus construction.
One of the first things we did when we decided we were going to do this, and I wanted to join the team, was look at what the tools were out there. Right. At that point, Midjourney was the generative AI art tool, but there was also a bunch of generative AI audio and generative AI 3D. There were tools for everything.
Tools were at a maturity level that we could see how small teams could outperform very, very large teams. With Unreal 5, how they're running their scripting with blueprints, tools inside the engine were becoming very mature. We could see the future with AI tools and acceleration, how we're going to be able to make games way faster.
With the use of AI, that has become even easier. Like, we can sit down and I can prompt in kind of what he's talking about, put that in, and then start concepting out and saying, does it look like this? And he's like, absolutely, that's what it looks like. Or no, we need to go in this direction with it.
AI for writing code, not quite there yet, but new visual scripting languages, new tools to help engineers write code faster, those are ready. And so picking and choosing which of these tools are most helpful and applying that to our processes is the key.
The model that we're going to follow is to create IP faster, to get it into the hands of the players, using AI to let us develop and test that faster. Once we have an IP that has the love of a community behind it, that's when you scale up and make something larger, make a larger project. But until then, doing it quickly allows us to reduce that risk.
Building a community as we build the IP lowers our risk for the adoption and the success of a new IP. Having access to customers right now was not possible 3 years ago. So by the time we launch the IP, way less risk on the adoption and the success of what that IP will be.
We're going to be able to course correct much more quickly. We're going to be able to fail faster without wasting much time and money doing that, and to be able to incorporate these iterations into our process and still end up doing what we set out to do, which was less money, less time, less people, and AAA quality products.
The team that we've brought together, that Nathan has brought together and that Rick has brought together, I'm blown away. They're so impressive. Their knowledge and their experience that they bring to the table.
The team that we have with Rick, who will keep me from making the mistakes in a game production environment that are not the same as I would have had in a simulation or a training environment. Or Derek, who will help me understand that a game design is more than just putting a pretty story on a jump button.
David is amazing. I have so much respect for how he dives into the AI and starts to understand exactly how can we utilize this, and he's on top of it. He's like the energy bunny. He's got so much energy. I can't keep up with him.
With Adam, having a CTO that has multiple hats, understands both the facets of the hardware and the software, with a coding background, and can still teach and mentor junior staff so that we don't have single point failure, is vital in any company.
Pablo's awesome. Pablo, you can just tell with Pablo that he loves building games. That is who Pablo is. And he's one of those guys that works around the clock. He's always trying to come up with creative solutions, it's just great. It's so wonderful to work with such experienced people.
What Rachel does on this team is brings in an outside perspective from outside of games, with an experience in building companies. So she asks questions about why are things done this way. Without that, I wouldn't have enough background in art and creation to be able to ask those questions and then reflect on whether or not there's a technology approach that would allow us to do it differently.
We're going to have these amazing games, these stories that we've brought together, and we're helping others fulfill their dreams and their passions by working on these games together. So that is very fulfilling to me, is seeing all of that come together and bringing forth something that didn't exist before. And we're doing it in a way that empowers others to pursue their dreams. So that is where I'd love to see the studio in 5 years, is that we've made several games and they're wildly successful and we're all proud of what we've created and they're just amazing and we've all fulfilled our dreams. Yeah.